Well guys, we are officially under 3 days until Donkey Kong Bonanza releases, and of course, normally when we get around this time, the same thing happens every single major game release, and even the minor game releases. Yep, the game has officially leaked online. So I am giving you guys a fair warning to be careful. It's dangerous out there. I would just delete all social medias. You know, YouTube doesn't ever seem to really be a problem, at least not right now. It might become a problem with thumbnails and stuff, so definitely if you go on YouTube, be careful. But most of the problems come from like Twitter or TikTok. TikTok especially, because you could just be scrolling and see something, and that's exactly what happened to me. So I immediately had to delete that app. I was scrolling, and of course something popped up right on my screen, but thankfully my eyes didn't center and focus on it. I just saw a little bit of the wording that spoiled something, and it showed a little bit of an image. And of course, I will not be spoiling anything, talking about it, you know, anything like that. All I'll say is this game is hiding a lot, and I'm really pumped up for this game. I think there's a lot of special stuff that Nintendo has been keeping hidden, which I'm glad, because they didn't really do that with Mario Kart World. I think everything that we saw is what we got, but there's a lot of hidden things still with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and there's a lot of stuff that's gonna just, you know, make us really happy to dive into. So yeah, but please be careful, because when I say that they're big things that they're leaking huge things. So please, like I said, be careful if you do not want the game spoiled for you. So with that, I am too hyped just to stop there. I decided, you know what, let's talk about my final wishes and predictions for this game, since it's super close to release. So I'm going to talk about my last minute wishes and predictions for this game and kind of what I hope to see. So for the most part, there's not like anything that I did not like from the gameplay demos, from the previews, from the direct itself. Like, there's really nothing that I have to say here. I'm genuinely all around very excited for this game. It looks like it's really well crafted. Lots of love is poured into it. There's lots of little things that just make the game work really well. There's list for the Banandium gems, you know, where to find them, or not where to find them, but it just tracks what you found, how many you have in each region. Lots of backtracking. It looks like even in the demo I played, it looks like you're going to have to backtrack after you get that first Bonanza transformation. There's some fossils and things that you can't get without it. So yeah, lots of reason to go back and lots of replayability, lots of bonus rooms. I mean, like, genuinely speaking, there's not much, so I really gotta dive in and really dig into some of my like ultra predictions for this game and things that would make me all around like 100% happy with it. So first off, more challenging bonus rooms. I'm sure this is gonna happen even in the demo that I played in like the Target kiosk. Some of the earlier on challenge missions, even in the lagoon area, which is one of the first in the game, some of them can get kind of difficult. So I'd be shocked if they didn't get more difficult. I mean, like, obviously I'm sure they will. I think the developers even stated in their recent Q&A that there are some really challenging levels dedicated for those of the, you know, most hardcore fans. And we know when Nintendo makes some hard levels, they can make some hard levels. Look at Mario Galaxy, you know, what's that one mission? It was like you have 1 health on Mario Galaxy 2 and you have to get to the end, like the perfect run or something. And they have one in Mario 3D World, Champions Road. So yeah, I mean, clearly Nintendo knows how to make a bonus, like, really difficult level. So I'm sure there's going to be like a last one too, like, you know, very similar to Super Mario Odyssey's, the darkest side of the moon, or whatever it is, darker, whatever, that side of the moon, where you had that like last bonus area where you had to go through all the captures and stuff. So I'm sure they're going to do something like that, where you have like, you have to use all the Bonanza transformations, all your abilities that you've learned up until that point, fighting all types of enemies and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. I'm also hoping that there's more transformations. I think we kind of already know this is happening. During one of the previews, you can see the skill point page where you put up like different badges for Donkey Kong, and there was like 2 additional sections after the ostrich one, which was after the zebra one. So that shows this is going to be at least 2 more, which I'm pretty excited about. And a lot of people have been doing some theories online and stuff, and I've talked about this before. It looks like it might be giraffe and elephant. I could be wrong, but just from like the actual screenshots and stuff that we've seen from Nintendo and from these previews, it looked like there were some areas where we saw a little elephant creature and stuff, and, you know, an area that's surrounded by giraffe decorations. So it wouldn't surprise surprise me if that was the last 2 transformations, but I just hope they're fun, and I really don't have much else to say. I think 5 transformations is pretty good in this game. I don't really need much more. I still am holding out for like a bonus transformation, something like a secret one at the very end of the game. Something like, you know how Mario transformed into Bowser and captured him at the end of Odyssey? So I'm still holding out for like the Kremlings and for King K. Rool. Like somehow you can transform into a Kremling Bananza transformation. That'd be so awesome at the very end. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm still happy that there's just 5 of them alone. And they all have a lot of different skills that you can equip and abilities. So they absolutely outdid themselves. You don't want too many because you're transforming into them on the fly with just like the press of an L and R button, I believe, or like the left and right, D-pad, I think. I forget how you transform, but it's still incredibly quick to do on the fly, so having 5 of them to manage is already going to be a lot, so I'm fine with that. Something else I really want is I hope there's a lot more callbacks to past games. Like, we already seen levels like Bramble Scramble from Donkey Kong Country 2. We've seen, the very first jungle level of Donkey Kong Country. So I'm hoping they add a lot more and they cover a lot more games. Like I'm hoping DKC3 also gets a stage reference. Maybe the trees that you climb up with the giant saw trying to get you, or the canyon would be a really cool one. That was a beautiful stage in that game. They could do a lot. But then, they could even pull from the newer games like Returns and Tropical Freeze. I would love to even see stages that kind of resemble those as well. But for the most part, I think they're probably going to do that. We've already seen 2, so I'm sure there's more that they're hiding from us, more 2D levels and stuff like that. But I also hope there's more callbacks to like characters and creatures. Like we've seen some fossils of like the naughty beaver from Donkey Kong Country, so I hope there's more like maybe fossils of past bosses and past enemies that we can look at, and maybe there's a little description from where they come from and kind of, adding some more lore to each of those characters and stuff would be really, really cool. And that's something like the Forgotten Land did, where you had all these like little capsules of like these little toy figurines of all these characters, bosses, and enemies and stuff, and it gave you a little bit of lore about them. So I'm hoping they do something similar in this game as well. I'm hoping we get a sublayer dedicated to Hollow Earth in the actual core. Not like realistic, because obviously this is just like a theory that people have been writing, and like more of a story plot. But could you imagine like the core being like this giant subterranean prehistoric area where there's like dinosaurs roaming around, a giant world down there with volcanoes and stuff? You guys seen the movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth and even the brand new Kong and Godzilla. So I would really love there to be some type of giant Hollow Earth thing down there that's like the last area. That'd be so awesome. And then to add to that, I pray that the Kremlings are down there. Like, it just would make so much sense with all these crocoids and stuff. Like, it has to be down there, right? There's got to be something down there. Could you imagine there's like a whole sub-level dedicated to all the Kremling army and enemies from Donkey Kong Countries 1 through 3? It'd be beautiful. I think I would cry tears of joy. And I hope they don't like change them up or make them look different or something. Like, it's just like the way they would look like they did back then, but now in HD and 3D. You know what I mean? Oh, it would make me so happy. That'd be so awesome. You'd be like a bunch of pirate ships in like a cove down there that you can explore and break through. Like, this game already has a really cool physics and like voxel technology that where you like punch trees, pieces of bark fly off in a specific way. It's very unique each time you punch things. So imagine punching through pirate ships and stuff and the wood chips and falls off that way. And you get to go inside and maybe there's even some past bosses that you can fight as mini bosses. Oh, that'd be so cool. And of course, the final boss of the area would be King K. Rool. Maybe even a Kremling elder, like a giant crocodile elder that's been down there. But I really hope King K. Rool's in this game. If the Kremlings are in there and King K. Rool's not, I'd be really upset. But if they're not in there, I'd be just as upset. So please, I'm still holding on. Everybody online that's been posting, all these Donkey Kong YouTubers have been posting about, King K. Rool. The evidence is there. The Kremling evidence is there. But I really hope it actually comes into fruition. And something else that kind of ties into that as well is I hope the story is fun. I hope it's more than we gotta chase down these 3 bad monkeys and get the Banandium root. And that's it. I'm sure there will be more. I mean, it just feels like they're hiding stuff. So I'm hoping there's some really fun story elements and that Pauline's child version is explained correctly, and it's something that's like really unique and clever to the story, and it makes sense, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. And you know, I mean, I just hope the story is there and fun, because there's a lot of things we just don't get, like Sunshine, 64, Odyssey, even Galaxy. The stories aren't really there. I mean, the only story we got is like Rosalina's side story from her observatory, you know, library. So I really hope there's some actual fun lore and story here that adds to like the lore of Donkey Kong and stuff, and it's not just like this one-off small little thing that's just for this game and then they move on. I mean, with all these callbacks to the past Donkey Kong Country games, I would be shocked if this wasn't some type of like connected lore or something, and be one of the first 3D platformers like that Nintendo's ever made that actually has lore and story. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that's the case. As far as anything else, I don't really know. I mean, maybe some small surprises, like maybe there's like some sections we can play as Diddy and Dixie or something. But besides that, I don't really have anything else. I think this game is awesome. Oh, I do have one more thing. I really hope the bosses are well crafted. I know we've only seen a couple earlier game bosses, but they look to be really easy. Just bust through their bottom layer of rock and then, you know, beat up the weak point, you know. So I hope it's more than just punching through rock and punching the weak point. I hope it's, you know, utilizing more of the Kong Bananza transformations, and maybe utilizing more of the terrain that you can pick up and throw and stuff like that, and maybe more puzzle elements to them. Maybe you have to throw a certain, you know, type of ground material at them and then throw another one to cause a detonation, or I don't know, something, you know what I mean, some type of puzzle when it comes to the terrain and, you know, throwing pieces of rock. And I think the bosses are going to be great, but I also, obviously, I hope the ending is really good, because that's my only problem with like Tropical Freeze. One of my favorite games of all time, hands down, but the ending is so lackluster. You know, you get all the way up there just to have a fight in a cave and a full of lava, you know, against a big walrus guy, and that's it. You know, they don't even utilize his Viking ship or the top of the mountain or even like a second form of the boss. So I'm hoping that they have like multiple like phases for this final boss, multiple phases for the final ending of the game, and I hope it's really exciting. So like, we're going all the way down to the core. Imagine like, you know, there's 2 phases or even 3 phases of the final boss, and the last phase is escaping. You got to get back up somehow through like a rocket barrel, and you fly through all the past sub layers. Oh, that'd be so cool, from the core all the way back to the surface. Or maybe it's even a Mario Odyssey thing, where like Mario captured Bowser to escape the inside of the moon and break himself free. Literally, the song Break Free would play. So maybe it's something very similar. I mean, think about it. I think Pauline's the one that sings Break Free, isn't it? So what if you actually transform into a Kremling, or to some type of Kremling Bananza, or maybe even King K. Rool himself or something, and you actually have to break free from the core and work your way all the way back outside, going through all the past sub layers and stuff. That'd be so cool. And then like Pauline sings a version of Break Free again, or maybe a new song very similar as you're escaping with her. Something like that would be awesome. Dude, oh my gosh, my mind's running rampant of the ideas that could happen. Like, this game is going to be so good. I can't wait. We are so close, but once again, please be careful online. Things are leaking. Pictures are flying around the internet, and it just ruins the fun for everybody. So please be careful on the internet for the next couple of days, and thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things DK Bananza when it does release. I will not be posting spoilers, and if I do talk about spoilers, it will not be in the thumbnail or the title, so you don't have to worry about that here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.